Good afternoon, guys. As you know me, I am Dr. William Lee, and once again, welcome back to my channel, your trusted resource for science-driven, practical health optimization. Are you eating healthy, staying active, yet still gaining weight after 60? If so, you're not alone, and it's not just calories in, calories out. Today, I want to deconstruct the real physiology behind weight gain in seniors. Not the myths, not the surface symptoms, but what's really happening inside your body and what you can do about it. Most people assume weight gain after 60 is simply because metabolism slows with age. But here's what the research actually shows. Metabolism doesn't suddenly collapse like a switch. It declines slowly once you hit your 60s, but it's not inevitable or irreversible. So here's the real question. Why can two people both eat reasonably well and move regularly, yet one gains weight and the other doesn't? Today we're going to break that down. We're going to answer questions like, what role do hormones like insulin, estrogen, and testosterone play in this process? How does muscle loss, sarcopenia, shift your body into a fat storage state? Why do stress and sleep really matter more than you think for metabolism? And what are the practical changes you can make today to stop and even reverse age-related weight gain naturally? Right now, your body is constantly performing a metabolic balancing act, burning calories, building tissue, regulating blood sugar, storing energy, and managing hormones that direct where fat goes, whether it stays around your belly or burns as fuel. And after 60, two major physiological changes start to tip that balance. Muscle mass declines systematically by about 1 to 2% per year, especially after age 60. You lose the very tissue that burns calories even when you're resting. Insulin becomes less effective at doing its job. Your cells don't respond as well. That means more sugar gets stored as fat, especially around your abdomen, even without eating more. And these aren't isolated events. They compound. Loss of muscle, slower energy use, insulin inefficiency, more fat storage, even slower metabolism. It becomes a vicious cycle. But that doesn't mean you're stuck. This is about root causes, not temporary fixes. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you optimize your energy, metabolism, and longevity. Naturally. After the age of 60, the single most overlooked driver of weight gain is not your appetite. It's not your willpower. And it's not even your metabolism in the way most people think about it. It's muscle. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. That means it burns calories 24 hours a day, even when you're sitting still. Fat tissue, on the other hand, is metabolically quiet. It stores energy, but it doesn't burn much. Now let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your muscle as the engine of a car. The bigger and stronger the engine, the more fuel it burns, even when idling. If that engine shrinks, your fuel usage drops automatically. You don't have to change how much fuel you pour in. The tank will simply start overflowing. That overflow becomes body fat. Research shows that after age 60, adults can lose approximately 1 to 2% of muscle mass per year if they are not actively strength training. This condition is known as sarcopenia. What the research consistently demonstrates is that sarcopenia directly lowers resting metabolic rate, meaning your body burns fewer calories at baseline. So even if you eat the same way you did at 45, your body is now burning less energy. The math quietly shifts against you. But here's the deeper issue. Muscle is also your largest glucose disposal organ. When you eat carbohydrates, your muscles act like a sponge, absorbing glucose from the bloodstream in response to insulin. The more muscle you have, the better your blood sugar control. When muscle declines, two things happen simultaneously. Your metabolic rate drops, your insulin sensitivity declines. That combination creates a perfect environment for fat storage. Now here's the empowering part. Muscle loss is not inevitable. It is reversible at any age. What the research shows, even in adults in their 70s and 80s, is that resistance training 2 to 3 times per week can significantly increase muscle mass and improve insulin sensitivity within 8-12 weeks. You don't need extreme workouts. You need progressive stimulus. Here's a practical protocol. Start with resistance training 3 times per week. Focus on compound movements, squats, push-ups or wall push-ups, rows, step-ups. If you're new to training, body weight is enough. If you're experienced, incorporate light dumbbells or resistance bands. Aim for 8-12 repetitions per set, 2-3 sets per exercise. Second, prioritize protein. After 60, your muscles become less responsive to protein, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. That means you need slightly more protein per meal to stimulate muscle repair. A practical target is 30-40 grams of high-quality protein per meal. Eggs, Greek yogurt, fish, chicken, lentils combined with plant proteins, these stimulate muscle protein synthesis. And here's something most people overlook. Distribute protein evenly throughout the day. Don't eat 10 grams at breakfast and 70 grams at dinner. Your muscles respond better to consistent stimulation. Let me repeat the key principle here. If you want to stop weight gain after 60, you must protect and rebuild muscle. Not optional, essential. Because when you rebuild muscle, you don't just burn more calories, you improve insulin sensitivity, stabilize blood sugar, support hormones, and reactivate your metabolic engine. And once that engine turns back on, everything else becomes easier. Ready to move into the next major driver, insulin resistance, and why even healthy carbs can become problematic after 60. Now let's talk about the second major driver of weight gain after 60. And this one is critical, insulin resistance. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Insulin is not a bad hormone. It is essential. Its job is to move glucose, sugar, from your bloodstream into your cells where it can be used for energy. But insulin also has another role. It is a storage hormone. When insulin is elevated, your body is in storage mode. When insulin is low, your body is in fat-burning mode. You cannot efficiently burn fat while insulin is high. The two processes are metabolically opposed. Now here's the shift that happens with aging. As muscle mass declines and activity patterns change, your cells become less responsive to insulin. This is called insulin resistance. The pancreas compensates by producing more insulin to get the same job done. So even if your blood sugar looks normal, your insulin may be chronically elevated. And elevated insulin quietly pushes fat storage, particularly around the abdomen. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of insulin as a key and your cells as doors. In your 30s and 40s, the key fits smoothly. After 60, the locks become rusty. The pancreas responds by making more keys and forcing them into the lock. More keys circulating means more storage signals. Now here's what research shows. Age-related insulin resistance is strongly linked to increased visceral fat accumulation, the deep abdominal fat associated with cardiovascular disease and metabolic dysfunction. And here's the important part. You do not fix insulin resistance by starving yourself. You fix it by improving insulin sensitivity. There are 3 highly effective strategies. First, reduce frequent glucose spikes. This doesn't mean eliminate carbohydrates entirely. It means become strategic. Refined carbs, sugary beverages, constant snacking, these keep insulin elevated all day. Instead, shift toward lower glycemic foods, non-starchy vegetables, berries, legumes, healthy fats, quality proteins. Pair carbohydrates with protein and fiber to slow absorption. Second, time your meals. Constant grazing keeps insulin elevated. Allowing 12-14 hours overnight without food, a simple circadian fasting window, gives insulin time to fall and allows your body to access stored fat. You don't need extreme fasting, you need metabolic rest. Third, strength training and walking after meals. Muscle contractions stimulate glucose uptake independent of insulin. A simple 10-15 minute walk after meals significantly lowers post-meal blood sugar spikes. This is powerful and underutilized. Let me repeat the core concept. After 60, it's not just about how much you eat. It's about how your body responds to what you eat. Lower insulin, better fat burning, higher insulin, more fat storage. Your goal is not to eat less. Your goal is to create longer periods of low insulin throughout the day. And when you do that consistently, your body regains metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch between burning carbs and burning fat efficiently. Next, we're going to discuss hormonal shifts and why changes in estrogen, testosterone, and growth hormone dramatically affect body composition after 60. Now we move into something that many people feel, but few truly understand: hormonal shifts after 60. Here's what's really going on inside your body. As we age, several anabolic, meaning tissue building, hormones naturally decline. In women, estrogen drops significantly after menopause. In men, testosterone gradually decreases. Growth hormone and DHEA also decline in both sexes. Now, most people think hormones only affect mood or libido, but hormonally speaking, they directly regulate where your body stores fat and whether it preserves muscle. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of estrogen and testosterone as architects. They help decide how your body distributes energy, whether calories are used to build lean tissue or stored as fat. When estrogen declines, especially in women, fat storage shifts toward the abdomen. Before menopause, fat is more likely stored around the hips and thighs. After menopause, storage moves centrally, increasing visceral fat. Research consistently shows that postmenopausal women experience increased abdominal adiposity independent of calorie intake. In men, declining testosterone reduces muscle protein synthesis. Less muscle means lower metabolic rate. Lower metabolic rate means easier fat gain. Now here's the important nuance. Hormone decline itself isn't the only problem. The problem is hormonal imbalance combined with insulin resistance and muscle loss. These systems talk to each other. Lower testosterone, less muscle, higher insulin resistance, more fat storage, further testosterone decline. It becomes a loop. And here's something empowering. Lifestyle interventions significantly influence hormone signaling, even if total hormone levels decline with age. Let's talk practical strategy. First, resistance training again becomes foundational. It is one of the most potent natural stimulators of testosterone and growth hormone release at any age. Compound movements, progressive overload, consistency. Second, adequate dietary fat. Hormones like testosterone and estrogen are synthesized from cholesterol. Extremely low-fat diets can impair hormone production. Include healthy fats daily: olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds, fatty fish. Third, micronutrients matter more than most people realize. Vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, and B vitamins all play roles in hormonal pathways. Vitamin D deficiency in particular is strongly associated with low testosterone and increased fat mass in older adults. A simple step: check vitamin D levels annually and optimize into the functional range. Fourth, manage body fat strategically. Excess visceral fat increases aromatase activity, an enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen in men and further disrupts hormonal balance in women. Reducing visceral fat improves hormonal signaling, not just appearance. Let me repeat the key principle. Hormones don't act in isolation. They respond to muscle mass, sleep quality, nutrient status, stress levels, and body fat percentage. You cannot hack hormones with a pill while ignoring lifestyle inputs. But when you improve sleep, lift weights, eat adequate protein and healthy fats, and lower insulin, hormone signaling improves significantly. And when hormone signaling improves, muscle preservation improves, fat storage decreases, and metabolic resilience returns. Next, we're going to address something that silently sabotages fat loss after 60, stress, and cortisol, and why your nervous system may be blocking your metabolism. Now let's talk about something that almost nobody connects to weight gain after 60, but it may be one of the most powerful drivers: stress. More specifically, cortisol. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Cortisol is not a bad hormone. It's a survival hormone. It helps you wake up in the morning. It helps regulate blood pressure. It helps you respond to danger. But when cortisol stays elevated chronically, your body shifts into a protective, energy-conserving state. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body thinks it's in a long winter famine. When stress is high and sleep is poor, your brain signals resources are scarce, store energy. That stored energy becomes fat, particularly around the abdomen. Research consistently shows that chronic stress is associated with increased visceral fat accumulation. Cortisol receptors are densely concentrated in abdominal fat tissue. In simple terms, belly fat is more responsive to stress hormones than fat in other areas. Now, layer this onto aging physiology. After 60, sleep quality often declines. Deep sleep decreases. Many people wake more frequently during the night. And sleep deprivation increases cortisol while impairing insulin sensitivity the very next day. So now you have elevated cortisol, reduced insulin sensitivity, increased appetite, especially for carbohydrates, lower muscle recovery. It becomes a metabolic storm. And here's something important. You cannot out-diet chronic stress. You cannot out-exercise poor sleep. Your nervous system regulates your metabolism. When the nervous system is in fight or flight mode, fat loss becomes secondary to survival. So what can you do? First, prioritize sleep like medicine. Aim for 7 to 8 hours. Keep the room cool and dark. Avoid screens at least 60 minutes before bed. Exposure to morning sunlight helps regulate circadian rhythm, which lowers nighttime cortisol. Second, walk daily. Low-intensity walking lowers cortisol more effectively than high-intensity cardio in chronically stressed individuals. 20 to 30 minutes per day is powerful. Third, incorporate breath work. Slow nasal breathing. 4 seconds inhale, 6 seconds exhale. Activates the parasympathetic nervous system. 5 minutes twice daily can measurably lower stress markers. Fourth, avoid overtraining. After 60, recovery capacity changes. Excessive high-intensity exercise without adequate recovery can elevate cortisol rather than improve metabolism. Let me repeat something critical. If cortisol remains chronically elevated, your body will resist fat loss, especially around the midsection. Lower stress, lower cortisol, improved insulin sensitivity, better fat burning. Your metabolism is not just calories, it is hormonal signaling directed by your nervous system. And when you calm the system, the body stops holding on so tightly. Next, we're going to discuss the final major root cause, the liver, and why metabolic flexibility declines with age, making it harder to switch into fat-burning mode. Now we arrive at the final, and often completely ignored, root cause of weight gain after 60, your liver. Here's what's really going on inside your body. The liver is your metabolic control center. It regulates blood sugar. It determines whether you store fat or burn fat. It manages cholesterol. It processes hormones. It detoxifies waste. It decides moment to moment what fuel your body runs on. And as we age, the liver can become metabolically inflexible. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your metabolism like a hybrid car. A healthy system can switch smoothly between gasoline and electric, between burning glucose and burning fat. That flexibility is called metabolic flexibility. But if the switching mechanism becomes sluggish, the car starts relying heavily on one fuel source, typically glucose, and loses efficiency in burning fat. With aging, reduced muscle mass, chronic insulin elevation, and accumulated visceral fat, all increase the risk of developing fatty liver, even in people who don't drink alcohol. This is called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and its prevalence increases significantly after 60. Now here's why this matters for weight gain. When the liver accumulates fat, it becomes more insulin resistant. When the liver is insulin resistant, it releases more glucose into the bloodstream. That forces the pancreas to produce more insulin. More insulin means more fat storage. You see how everything connects? Muscle loss, insulin resistance, hormonal shifts, cortisol, and now the liver. It's not separate problems. It's one metabolic network. What the research shows is that improving liver health dramatically improves fat burning capacity and blood sugar regulation, even without extreme dieting. So what are the practical tools? First, reduce added sugars and refined carbohydrates, especially fructose-heavy foods and sweetened beverages. Excess fructose is processed primarily in the liver and directly contributes to fat accumulation there. Second, increase fiber intake. Soluble fiber improves insulin sensitivity and reduces liver fat accumulation. Vegetables, legumes, chia seeds, flax seeds, these are powerful metabolic regulators. Third, incorporate time-restricted eating. A 12-14 hour overnight fasting window allows the liver to deplete glycogen stores and begin mobilizing stored fat. You don't need aggressive fasting. Consistency is more important than intensity. Fourth, strength training and moderate aerobic activity both reduce liver fat significantly over time. Fifth, prioritize omega-3 fatty acids. Fatty fish like salmon and sardines have been shown to reduce liver fat and improve metabolic markers. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing, because understanding your liver's role changes the way you approach weight loss completely. Let me repeat the key principle. If your liver cannot efficiently switch into fat-burning mode, weight loss will feel difficult, no matter how hard you try. Restore liver health, lower insulin, rebuild muscle, reduce stress, support hormones. When these systems come back into balance, your body naturally shifts from storage mode into energy mode, and that's when sustainable fat loss becomes possible. Now let's bring everything together in the conclusion and give you a clear action plan moving forward. Let's bring this all together. So today we didn't talk about dieting harder. We didn't talk about starving yourself. And we didn't blame aging as something you're powerless against. Instead, we examined what's really happening inside your body after 60. Let's recap the physiology. First, muscle loss slows your resting metabolic rate and reduces your ability to absorb glucose efficiently. Less muscle means lower calorie burn and higher fat storage. Second, insulin resistance increases with age, especially when muscle mass declines and meal timing becomes irregular. Elevated insulin keeps your body in storage mode. Third, hormonal shifts change fat distribution and reduce anabolic signaling. Lower estrogen, testosterone, and growth hormone influence muscle preservation and abdominal fat storage. Fourth, chronic stress and poor sleep elevate cortisol, which signals your body to conserve energy and store fat, particularly around the midsection. Fifth, the liver becomes less metabolically flexible. If the liver cannot efficiently switch between glucose and fat burning, fat accumulation accelerates. Now here's the empowering truth. None of these are fixed. Every single one of these systems responds to lifestyle intervention, even after 60. Let me simplify this into a clear action plan. Lift weights 3 times per week. Prioritize 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. Adopt a 12-14 hour overnight fasting window. Walk daily, especially after meals. Sleep 7-8 hours consistently. Reduce refined carbohydrates and added sugars. Manage stress intentionally. You don't need to do all of it perfectly, but try just one of these changes today and track how your body responds. Measure your waist circumference. Monitor your energy levels. Notice your sleep quality. Pay attention to how stable your appetite becomes. Your body is not working against you. It is responding to signals. And when you change the signals, the physiology changes. Aging does not mean automatic weight gain. It means your strategy must evolve. When you rebuild muscle, lower insulin, support hormones, calm cortisol, and restore liver health, you shift from storage mode into fat-burning mode naturally. That's not a theory, that's physiology. If this added value to your life, like the video and subscribe to join others who are optimizing their health naturally, without medication, without extremes, and without confusion, because your 60s, 70s, and beyond can be strong, energized, and metabolically resilient. I'll see you in the next video.